Now, you may have been following the dramatic resignation of columnist Barris Weiss from the New York Times over the weekend over what she alleged was a bullying campaign by editors and staff who followed their editorial direction by what pops up on Twitter, the socialist sewer of social media. Well, they won't let up, this mob. How's this for a woke media outlet trying to silence and demonise their opposition? Over at Fox News in the US, there's a commentator called Tucker Carlson. Now, he's pretty conservative, often criticising the violence we've seen over there at those Black Lives Matter protests. Not too out there, I would have thought. But the Times decides to work on a story which aims to give its readers the home address of Tucker Carlson and his family. Can you believe that? This is how the host broke the news today.
2 years ago, a left-wing journalist publicised our home address in Washington. A group of screaming Antifa lunatics showed up while I was at work. They vandalised our home. They threatened my wife. She called 911 while hiding in a closet. A few weeks later, they showed up again at our house. For the next year, they sent letters to our home threatening to kill us. But the New York Times followed us. The paper has assigned a political activist called Murray Carpenter to write a story about where we are now. They've hired a photographer called Tristan Spinsky to take pictures. Their story about where we live is slated to run in the paper this week. Editors there know exactly what will happen to my family when it does run. I called them today and I told them, but they didn't care. They hate my politics. They want this show off the air. If one of my children gets hurt because of a story they wrote, they won't consider it collateral damage. They know it's the whole point of the exercise, to inflict pain on our family, to terrorize us, to control what we say.
When you start endangering the lives of family members of commentators, you have exceeded your right to publish. You see, again, any scrutiny of any minority group, no matter how inaccurate the minority group's campaign and slogans might be, is met with virtual warfare. What a bunch of nasty morons. Meanwhile, today in Queensland, the government was planning its own changes, this time not to borders, although watch that space very carefully, but education. However, while it was dressed up as some kind of education reform aimed at dumping NAPLAN, I sensed the tentacles of the very powerful Queensland Teachers Union, which, as it turns out, has somehow gained longer leave provisions for their members. Teachers needing more holidays. Isn't 10 weeks enough for them? But sure enough, the Queensland Labor government is allowing the QTU to run education. We know that just about every state and territory is about to dump NAPLAN. This is a furphy, but giving teachers an extra 2 days off near the end of the year is rich. This is in lieu of what they really wanted, which was a pay rise. A pay rise during a pandemic. What a mob of shysters, not the teachers, just the cosy deals that are done between the Queensland Labor government and the unions. I guess it's only a coincidence that Education Minister Grace Grace was General Secretary of the Queensland Council of Unions for 7 years. Comrades forever.